In this lecture, we shall explore the string class in Java. String is basically sequence of characters. Character array is basically used in C and C++. Here is an example of character array also in Java. You have char, then the name of the array equal to new char 4. Looking at this declaration and initialization, it will be really easy for you to understand that this particular representation is almost same as that of array representation. What we are trying to do over here is the new operator here is going to create an array for storing 4 characters values, and char array is the reference name that is given to the starting location of that particular character array on the heap. Now, using this reference name and the index position value, you can set different values in the created variable. You can store different values in the created variable in the heap. For example, char array 0, we are storing j. In char array 1, we are storing a. Char array 2, we are storing b. But these are single characters. Now, character array manipulation, it takes a lot of bookkeeping effort. We all have come from the background of say C or C++, and we have actually seen how difficult it is to write the programs from scratch. Even to find out whether a given string is a palindrome, a very simple program, you have literally written everything from scratch, and it takes a lot of headache. So the developers of Java, they thought that instead of user slogging to just do something which is primary, very preliminary, let us come up with the classes. So they came up with the string classes, okay, and they defined different methods which are commonly used for any operations when we are working with strings. So in Java, the string classes, they are of two types. You have a string class, and parallelly you also have a string buffer class. The difference, string class, the object of the string class, it is of the fixed length. So the string objects that we create using the string class here, okay, they are fixed length objects. Whereas if you use string buffer class to create string objects, then the objects that are created, they are flexible in length. Okay, that means the length of such string can shrink and it can increase and so on, right? Now, let us compare the Java strings with the character arrays. One very important feature is that Java strings are very much reliable and predictable as compared to the character arrays. Java strings are not character array, and hence they are not null terminated. Also, we have seen that whether it is array, any array, integer array, floating point array, double array, or whether it is character array, there is always memory leakage problem that is associated. So, like the normal character arrays, they usually lack bound checking, whereas in Java, a strict bound check is performed. So, that's why we go for Java string classes whenever you want to deal with strings. Now, this is the syntax of creating a string. Data type string. Notice that S is capital here because this is the class name. String name is the object of type string, and now this object is basically used to create a string called a string. So string name is equal to new string string. Just an example, you can create a string called as first name, and then we store John as the value of that particular first name. Now, both these steps can be, that they can be clubbed into one particular statement that's called as dynamic declaration. So, to show that example, I have created another string called as second name. I am declaring the string reference name as well as I am assigning the value Martins to that particular reference name in one line. So, this is an example of dynamic declaration. So, first name, string first name contains John, and the second name string, it contains Martins. Now, plus operator, as we have already seen in system.out.println, whenever we use plus operator, it basically works as a concatenation operator. So also here. So when you are going to concatenate first name and second name, which are string values, full name, it will contain the concatenation of these two. So the string John Martins will be stored in full name variable. Now this string class, it has over 17 different inbuilt methods and mechanisms which are easily available for the end user whenever he wants to use. Okay, let us quickly see some of the methods. So you have, suppose S1 is a string. Okay, you have uppercase alphabets in that string. So you can use S1 dot to lowercase. So to lowercase is a method that converts the string S1 to the lowercase, and the resultant string will be stored in S2. Now similarly, you can also convert the string whose all the alphabets, all the elements are in uppercase, are in lowercase. You can convert them to uppercase with the help of to uppercase. So S1 dot to uppercase, what it does, it converts string S1 to the uppercase and stores it in S2. Then we have a replace method. So S1 dot replace x comma y. What it does is it replaces all the appearances of x in the string S1 to y, and the resultant string will be stored in S2. Trim method, it removes the white spaces at the beginning and the end of the string S1, and the resultant string is then stored into string S2. Equals method, it basically returns true if S1 and S2 they are equal to each other, they are equal. Okay, it returns true, otherwise it returns false. Now equals ignore case is another method which is similar to this equals method. The difference is that it returns true if string S1 and S2 are equal, ignoring the cases of the character. So it can so happen that string S1 may contain some uppercase characters, S2 may contain some lowercase character, because of which the string might not match. So you can use this particular method to ignore all the cases and match the strings. Then S1 dot length, it gives the length of a given string S1. Then there is another method called as caret. It gives the nth character of the string S1. Okay. Then there is also another method called as compared to. So it returns negative. This particular method, it returns negative if the first string S1 happens to be lesser than S2. It returns positive value if this S2 is S2 is lesser than S1, and if both are same, then it will return 0. So it returns negative if S1 is lesser than S2. It returns positive if S1 is greater than S2, and if both are same, then it returns 0. Then you have a method called as concat, which basically concatenates string S1 and S2. You have an inbuilt method called as substring, which takes a parameter n, which gives substring starting from the nth character. So in the original string S1, okay, starting from the nth character, whatever substring you get, it returns that. Similarly, you have the same substring function, this time taking two parameters. It basically gives the substring from the nth character up to the mth character in the string S1, and notice that it will not include mth character. There is also a method called as value of p. It creates a string object of the parameter p. It's a simple type or object that is created. Then there is a function called as toString, method called as toString. Basically it creates a string representation of any given object p. There is index of method, which gives the position of occurrence, first occurrence of x in string S1. So it gives the position of the first occurrence of character x in the string S1. Then similarly S1 dot index of, it is the same function but taking two parameters. It gives the position of x that occurs after the nth position in the string S1. And finally there is string dot value of variable. It converts the parameter value to the string representation. So these are the various methods which are predefined, which are already available for us to use. Let us quickly see an example. Let us write a small program in string. In this program, I am going to create a character, a string array, okay, containing the name of different cities. So I will say string name, which is an array, equal to, and let me have names of some cities: Madras, Delhi, Mumbai, and you can have something like Panjim. So these are the names of various cities. Okay. Next, what we will do is we will write a function, or we will write a program that will alphabetically sort these different cities and present them in an alphabetical order. Now, one important thing that is required at this point is we need to find out the size of the name array, string array. So I will declare a variable called let size equal to, and I will use the method called as length. Okay, size equal to name dot length. So size will contain the length of the name array. Thereafter, I will be declaring a string variable called as temp, so that I can do the swapping in case there is swapping required. So string temp. Now for int I equal to 0, I less than size I plus plus. I will be using two pointers here. I will be using two references. One is I and one is j. I will point to the current string and j will point to the next string, and I will be comparing the current and the next string. If there is a swapping that is required, it will be performed. Okay. Similarly, for j equal to 0, j less than, okay, j will point to the current value of I plus 1. So the next string in the array, right? J less than size j plus plus. Okay. And here we will use a function to compare the name j and name I. Okay. So I will be using this function called as compare to. Okay. So what compare to function does? It basically compares the first string with the second string. If the first string is lesser than the second string, then it will return negative value, that is less than 0. If the first string is greater than the second string, then it will return a positive value, and if they are same, then it is going to return 0. So I will just say if name j dot compare to name j dot compare to, and I will be writing the values here, compared to name I Okay, name j compared to name I. If it is less than 0, then what? Then I need to swap the values. It simply means, see, name j is basically the next string in the array, name I is the current string in the array. If the next string in the array happens to be lesser than the current string, okay, that means they are not in ascending order, alphabetical order, then I need to swap. So for swapping, I will use this temporary string. Okay, temp equal to, I will be storing this name I, the current name, I will be storing in the temporary string. Okay, then name j I am going to now insert, I am going to replace it in place of name I. Name I, name j, and finally whatever I stored in the temp, that I am going to copy in name j. Yes, so swapping has happened here, and then I have to only display the string now. So I can now say for int I equal to 0, I less than the size, I less than the size of the int array I plus plus, and we can now print the array system dot out dot println, okay, and we will print name I, and we will save. Okay, so you see the contents of the array were Madras, Delhi, Mumbai and Panjim. It is sorted in the alphabetical ascending order. So D comes first in the sequence, alphabetical sequence, then comes M and then comes P. So they have been sorted. So what we have done is, you see why swapping is done. First, for I equal to 0, okay, so I is a pointer that will be pointing to the first string in the array. J equal to I plus 1, so J will be pointing to the second string in that array. So I and J, so name of I is Madras, name of J is Delhi. So we are going to then compare here, is name of J, okay, is name of J, that is Delhi, is it lesser than name of I? Is Delhi lesser than Madras? Less means with respect to alphabetical order. Is D alphabetically lesser than M? If yes, now in this case yes, D comes first, then comes M, right? So this is lesser than this. So we are doing the swapping. So temporarily this Madras we are going to save in temp variable. Madras is saved in temp variable. Delhi is replaced in place of Madras, and then the Madras that we had saved in temp variable, we are storing it back to Delhi. At the end of this operation, we will see Delhi shifted here, Madras shifted here, and then as the iterations go on, the same comparisons will happen for all, and that's how we have got this particular output. Okay, so there are different functions in strings. Okay, you can try each and every function. We can try another function. For example, I want to check whether okay, I will convert a given string to uppercase. Okay, so to do that, okay, I will simply say I'll create a string variable, string new string equal to, okay, I will try to convert Delhi all to uppercase. So what is Delhi? It is nothing but name of 0, okay, dot So name of 0 basically will give you Delhi, because now already swapping has happened, right? So name of 0 will be Delhi, and then I will use this to upper case. Okay, I'll use this to uppercase and semicolon. Okay, this has to be written within the scope of public static void. So I'll say to uppercase, and then let us try to print system.out.print, and I will print the string, that is new string itself. Okay, and now run. Can you see the Delhi all converted to capital cases? So this is how you can take the help of string. Next concept that we are going to see is string buffer class. Now in the previous topic we had seen string class. String class can be used when the string that you want to have in your program has a fixed length, as I have already spoken about. Now string buffer class allows you to have a flexible length strings which can be modified in terms of both the length and content also. That means you can insert some characters and substring somewhere in the middle of the string, or you can just append another string to this particular existing string, and so on. So the flexibility of length and flexibility with respect to the content is there when you use the second class, which is called as string buffer class. Now there are the most frequently used these 4 methods, inbuilt methods, that you will find handy while using string buffer class objects. The first method is called as setChar@. Okay, now what this method does is it modifies the nth character, okay, and changes whatever was the character at that particular position, it changes it to a new character called as x. So n here happens to be the position where there is already existing character present, which you want to replace with a new one, and that new character is this x. So setChar@, it will set a new character that is specified here at the index position n, which will override the previously present character at that location. So this is one handy function or method that we have. Another method is append method, where you can append another string s2 to already existing string s1. In this case, s1 will expand itself to include s2. Third, there is a method called as insert. Now this method called as insert, it inserts at index position n in the string, okay, the substring s2. Okay, so the original string s1 will be inclusive later on, inclusive of this s2 as well. Okay, and third one is set length. Fourth one is a set length function. It sets the length of the string s1 to n. Now since this particular method is going to set the length of the given string, it can so happen that if the already existing string s1 is of lower length, okay, then what will happen? Okay, so if the n that you have specified happens to be greater than the current length of the string, okay, that means you want to set more length than the current length, then zeros will be added to s1 to fill that much length. Okay, so zeros will be added to make it n. So if n, the length that you want to modify, that length value is greater than the current length value, then the remaining places will be filled with zeros in the original string s1. Now if it is opposite, that means the current length of the string is say 5, and you want to set it to say length 2, So you want to shorten the string, then what will happen? Then this S1 will be truncated till this n value. So next we shall see a program which will include the string buffer object of a string buffer class, and we will use these functions. And next we shall see how the strings can be manipulated using the string buffers inbuilt methods. There are 4 methods as which are inbuilt methods for string buffer. You have setChar, you have append, you have insert, and you have setLength. Let us go ahead and see a program. So very first thing is I am going to create a string with the help of string buffer. So I write str is the name of the string, equal to new string buffer, and let's say the name of the string is hello boys. Okay, so I have created a str object of type string buffer, and the string that is stored there is hello boys. As we have already discussed, we use string buffer class when you want to shrink the string, you want to extend the string, you want to scaling of the string if you want to do. Okay, all those operations are possible when you use string buffer class. Whereas if you use string class, the length of the string is it's fixed. Okay, so let us first go ahead and print this particular string. So I say system dot out dot println, and I say original string is and I will print str. Okay, now when you run the program, your string is hello boys. Okay, the original string is hello boys. I'll just keep some space here. Okay, I'll run it again. Yes, so str, that is hello boys, is being printed. Okay, now let us see various operations that are that we can perform on the string. First, let's see how to obtain the length of the string. So here also there is an inbuilt method called as length that we can use. Okay, so let's go ahead and print the length of the string. System dot out dot println, and I say the length of the string is and I say I use str object name dot, and there is an inbuilt method called as length. Okay, when I run this program, it will print the length of the string. So it says the original string is hello boys and the length of the string is 10. Let's go ahead. Now there is one inbuilt method called as char@. Method. This method is basically used for accessing characters in a string. So let's go ahead and see how you can access characters in a string. Okay, now for this I'll go with for loop, and for every iteration, okay, I will print one character based on each index position. So for that I use for int I equal to 0, I less than the length of the string, that is size of the string, str dot length I plus plus. Okay. So it will go from index 0 till the maximum length of the string, and at every iteration it is going to print one character at a time. So then I'll say position equal to I plus 1. Okay, and then I'll simply print a message. System.out.println, the character at position, okay, the character at position. I'll print this position variable is, and I'll print str dot, and the function that I'm going to use is char at, and I is given as input. So before I run this program, I'll tell you initially I will be 0. We have already seen str.length, here length of the string is 10, so 0 is less than 10, true. It comes here, position will be 0 plus 1, that is 1. It will print the character at position 1 is, and str.char I is 0, so it is going to print that character which is at index position 0 in the string. Okay, in the next iteration I will be incremented, I will become 1, 1 is still less than 10, so position will be 2, it will print the character at position 2 is, and whichever character is there at second position it will print that, and this will repeat for all 10 length characters. Let's go ahead and run. As you can see here, the original string is hello boys, the length of the string is 10, and it is printing each character one at a time, right? So this is the beauty of char at function or char at method, inbuilt method. Now let's go ahead. Okay, if I want to insert a string in the middle, how to do it? Inserting a string in the middle. Okay, I'll be taking help of another inbuilt method, okay, called as insert method. Now before I do this, okay, what I want to do is I want to find out, okay, the index position, okay, of the index position of the original string where this new string will be inserted, right? Now what is happening is this particular str that we are considering, it's a string buffer, it's not a string. So first thing I'll create, I will convert this str into a string, and then I will be storing it into a string variable. Just see what I do. String is string, okay, a string is the name, so I create a new string variable equal to new string, okay, and then what is that new string that is stored in string, a string variable? It is nothing but the original str object which is converted to string. So there is an inbuilt function called as toString. This inbuilt method, it converts the string buffer object to a string object, right? So what will happen is this hello boys, which is stored in str, but str is a string buffer object. This string buffer object will be converted to string object, and then that string hello boys will be copied in a string. So a string will be a reference name pointing to that hello boys, right? Now next I need to find out, okay, I need to specify which is that position where I want to index, insert the new string. So I just use a variable called as pos, okay, the index position will be an integer value, and I say a string dot index of. So index of is a inbuilt method, okay, a string dot index of, okay, and I want to insert, let's say I want to insert the new string at this index position where b is there, okay, hello boys, wherever b is there, at this place I want to insert a new string, so that a new string will start from this particular location and boys will be shifted okay, after the new string is inserted. Okay, so I say int pos equal to a string dot index of, and where I want to insert it, I want to insert in the beginning of string called as boys. Okay, beginning of the string called as boys. Fine, and then so this is a position. So by writing this particular line, what I have done is a string dot index of. So this particular string, in this particular string, I have found out the index of boys. So B, okay, this particular position that will be stored in POS. Okay, let's print it and see. If I just print POS, okay, let's see what output do I get. Okay, the output that I get is 6. Okay, now if you just see the string 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay, 6. That means after 6 index, okay, from the 7th index boy will start, B will start, right? So at index 6, okay, here we are going to insert the string. Okay, so at POS equal to 6, a new string will be inserted. So I will comment this line, and now I will be actually inserting. Okay, now for insertion, I cannot insert anything in the middle of a string. Why? Because a string is of type string, but I will have to use the original str object of type string buffer, because string buffer is flexible enough to expand and contract with respect to the length, right? So then I say str dot, okay, and insert is the function that we are going to use, insert, and it has two parameters. One is the position POS, and second is what is the string that you want to insert. So I will just specify, I will say computer. So what I want to do is I want to insert a string computer, okay, at the index position where boys starts. So the output of this should be hello computer boys. Okay, and then I am going to print okay the modified string is, and I'll just print str. Fine. So original str and the modified str we are going to see now, right? So I save and I run. Okay, now just see, the original string was hello boys, and the modified string that we have got is hello computer boys. So these are some of the operations that we frequently use when you use a string buffer. Notice that if I print the length of the str, modified length of str, it will be definitely more than the original length. Okay, so I will just try to print the length of the modified string. I will copy this same statement here. I am going to print here length of the modified string is str.length. Just see what is the length of the original string and what is the length of the modified string. So you see the length of the original string is 10 here, hello boys, and the length of the modified string is 19 here, including computer. So this is how the length has been increased, and this is possible only when the string objects are of the type string buffer. It will be not possible if the string class is of type string. Okay. Now we'll see another small code. Okay, we will see how to modify certain characters at certain locations. Okay, so modifying characters, okay, at certain locations. So now my current string str is having hello computer boys. This is a string. Okay. Now I just try to modify certain characters. I say str dot, okay, set char at. Now this set char at function, it takes two parameters. It takes the position where you want to replace the character and what is the character that is to be replaced. It takes two. Okay. So let's say set char pos or set character position, say 6, and I want to replace it, this 6 position, whatever character is there, I want to replace it with say at the rate, okay, just for fun. And then you can just print the modified string. So I will again copy this same print statement and I'll paste it here, so that after replacing at the 6th position the whatever character is there, after replacing it with at the rate, let us see what is the final string that we get. So you see the string was hello computer boys, and now at the 6th location, okay, it has replaced C, okay, which is at 6th position, it has replaced C with at the rate, and now the string is read as hello at the rate computer boys, right. So this is how you can replace characters with respect to the position. So set char at is an important function. And there is also another very important or mostly used method, and that is when, you know, there is an already existing string and you want to append some other string to that string. So you want to grow the string in size. Okay, so how to do that? So there is a method called as append. So I will use it, okay, I'll just say appending string at the end. Okay, so I will just say str dot append, okay, str dot append, and the string that I want to append is we are at dbc. Okay, suppose I want to append this particular string, that we are at dbce, and then again I will print the modified string is, right. So the string that we have so far is hello computer boys. C has been modified with at the rate. Okay, so that I will just comment now. Okay, so our string str contains hello computer boys, and now I want to append another string called as we are at dbc to str. So let's see what is the final string str. So you see hello computer boys, we are at dbce. So original string str, to that we are at dbce is appended. Okay, and the length of this particular string will be more than that of the previous string. So these are some of the most useful methods which are available, okay, which are very important actually while writing programs. These are the different methods which are frequently used when you work with strings using string buffer classes.